We're going to go ahead and get started with our second workshop for the day. So creating great educational games takes more than just good mechanics. It takes empathy, insight, and the right tools. In this next workshop, a game creator's toolkit to build impactful classroom experiences, you'll gain practical strategies for designing games that resonate with both students and educators. Whether you're building for engagement, curriculum alignment, or classroom usability, this session offers actionable advice to help developers create meaningful classroom-ready experiences. Here to share more are graduate student team from the University of Washington, Patriz, Bonnie, Paige, and Kelly.
Thank you so much for having us here. We're really excited to share our learnings from the last 2 quarters at the University of Washington. A good group of us already graduated this past spring. Kelly's going to be doing another year because she loves learning. So really excited to be sharing more. Yeah. But again, yeah, I'm Patriz. This is Paige, Kelly, and Bonnie, and we're really excited to share more. But before we get started, we would just love to get an idea of who's in the room today. Just wanted to get a show of hands. How many of you are in the education space? Teacher, principal? Awesome, cool. What about game developers, software engineers, UX designers? Awesome, okay. What about nonprofit organizations? Cool. Anything else I'm missing? Want to share out where people are from? Cool. Well, we're from the University of Washington HCDE program, and we wanted to ask you all to think back to school. What was your least favorite subject and why? We'll take a few minutes, turn to someone next to you, and ask them, what was your least favorite subject? What was it? And yeah, we'll do 3 minutes here.
Oh, nice. Yeah, my favorite. Yeah.
Alrighty. We're gonna wanna hear from a few people. Does anyone wanna share any of their least favorite subjects back in school? Anyone from this table wanna share least favorite subject? What was that? Sewing. What was the challenge with that one? Any other examples? Anyone want to share? Oh, math. Why was math a challenging one for you? Saw another hand here. Yeah.
So we have math, calculus because it was irrelevant in high school. We have every subject because the school should be blamed for it, and we have physical training this moment when captain choose their teams, and when you're standing there that you will be the last one because you're not doing great there.
That's always hard. One more volunteer? Oh, yes. Yes. Focus is definitely a hard one in the classroom. So we're going to flip it now. If you were the teacher now of this exact subject that you did not like in school, what are some challenges that you might face when you're teaching writing, math, sewing? Take some time to talk to people at your table, and we'll regroup again. Alrighty. We're gonna regroup now back to everyone here now. Does anyone have an example? Just wanna regroup one more time. Cool. Does anyone wanna share any challenges that you might have teaching math, writing, sewing, or any other subject? Yeah.
I chose English. I like English class in high school. I think my challenge would be convincing students that there's still value even if you don't like the content. You don't have to like the book. You don't have to relate to it easily in order to find a way to relate to it. But you could be like, wow, I hate this book. Any kind of positioning is good. That's really hard to convince students of.
Say the value. Yes, over there. That's awesome. Any other examples? This side of the room? Oh, yeah, here. Yeah, definitely a lot of different factors at play when it comes to making the classroom experience very engaging and everything too. Want to take one more volunteer? Yeah.
Similar to that, skill level.
Yeah. So just considering all of that, we have a lot of different factors at play in the classroom. So yeah, skill level, engagement, making it fun, making sure that they know the value of why they're learning what they're learning. So one thing's for sure, the classroom setting is super complex, and there's really no true one-size-fits-all solution when it comes to teaching and for student learning and everything too. So we wanted to introduce our sponsor, the Washington Interactive Learning Alliance. This is a nonprofit based in Washington that really bridges the gap between gaming and education. So what they do is that they help support indie and hobbyist developers to creating meaningful games for the classroom. And with HCDE, the Human-Centered Design and Engineering program, that's the program that we all are part of and did our capstone with, we wanted to find a way, how do we directly help game developers so they can make better games that will actually be adopted into classrooms today? So we wanted to share just a brief 3 research insights. So in our winter and spring quarter of our this past year at UW, we found these 3 things from interviewing a lot of teachers across private schools and public schools. We also talked to game developers, did classroom observations, did even concept testing with our early prototype of the card deck that you see on the tables today. So 1, games are an effective tool for learning. As long as the game does align with content and it is engaging, there is a lot of value that students get when they do have game-based learning going on in the classroom. Second is the biggest thing that we've noticed too. Teachers see educational games as a high risk with heavy time demands and unclear payoff. There is a lot of time that needs to be taken to understand, what is this game? How do I set up this game? Like, teachers are already so busy just setting up for the year ahead of them. How can we make sure that they're able to adopt these games into the classroom today? And finally, game creators often don't have access to teachers and schools right away. We want to make sure, how do we get them to understand what's going on in classrooms today? What do teachers want? What do students need today as well? So we wanted to make sure, how can we help game developers truly understand what's going on in kindergarten classes or high school classes, and make sure that they're correctly making games that actually will be adopted and will be valued by students and teachers. So I'll pass it on to Bonnie, who will introduce our product.
Hey, so as Pia mentioned, as part of our capstone, we developed this toolkit, which y'all can see on your tables right now, which is called Game. Oh, we only have 5 decks printed for the conference, so we will maybe take some from other tables and then pass it around. But we do have like a website that has all the cards, so we would share that later too for reference. But anyway, this toolkit is called Gamecraft, and basically it is a card deck that is aimed and designed to be like a conversation starter and discussion kit that helps you think and empathize with teachers and different things that can happen in classrooms. So it's almost like helping you think from different perspectives to, like, as you're developing your game, you could consider and iterate and introduce into your mechanisms. And how the deck is structured is that we broke it down into 3 categories: design for learning, for teachers, and classrooms. Design for learning answers the questions on how might you support deeper student learning through relevant theories. So this yellow deck is really anchored on different learning theories that we've learned to be effective in classroom games. The second category is design for teachers, which answers the questions on what makes a game valuable for teachers and more likely to be used in a classroom. So this talks about things that teachers care about, like what makes them say yes and actually bring them into a classroom. The third deck is called Design for Classrooms, and this is kind of like a reality check deck. So when we do design, it's really common for us to like only design for the happy path. But as mentioned earlier, classrooms are complex. So there's actually a lot of scenarios that you should think about, like different academic levels and stuff like that. And that's what the green deck is for. And the way that you use this deck is, the idea is that you could, you don't have to use all of the cards, but choose cards that, I guess, are relevant to the game that you're developing. Reflect on how your game addresses it. And if it's not, there's actually, let me go to the next slide. In the deck, there is an insight as well as quotes that we've learned from our interviews. And on the back, we'll talk about why this matters and different prompts and considerations that you could think about as you're kind of designing your game. And with that, I will pass it on to Kelly to
Hello.
our activity today.
Thank you. All right, so so we're going to do a little activity and kind of use our card examples in a real world scenario. So Bonnie's going to pass around bananagrams. And has anybody played bananagrams before? Familiar with it? Anybody played Scrabble? All right, so it's very similar to Scrabble, but without the board. And you don't need to worry about the rules. We're not actually playing. It's more of just kind of a prompt and kind of ideation. And even with the cards, we're going to walk through just a few specific examples. So it's okay if you don't have the cards. We'll kind of do a kit example together. So you're going to imagine that you are a game creator and you've been tasked with creating a Bananagrams version for the classroom. And so you are going to think about different ways to kind of address some scenarios in the classroom. So what we've done is pulled 3 specific examples of our cards, and we're gonna just walk one by one. So we'll do one card example, and then I'll give you some time to kind of brainstorm different ways that you might kind of remix or introduce different rules or elements into the game into the Bananagrams game and to fit this scenario. So I'll kind of give you an example. All right, so the first one that we're going to try is teacher readiness. So in our research, we found that a lot of teachers, they typically will want to know what to expect out of a game or activity before they bring it into the classroom. So they'll want to play it themselves. They'll want to know how to map it to their classroom curriculum. And so they want to kind of just have a little bit of an understanding of what they're getting into. And they typically will play the games on their own. So addressing this concern, we want to think about, so I'm going to go through, give you kind of an example of thinking of, if I want to bring in Bananagrams, I want to create a photosynthesis Bananagrams game for the classroom. And I am going to think through for teacher readiness, like how can I help teachers understand how to bring in this game? And feel free to think of any topic. For me, it's just helpful to kind of ground on a specific example, but feel free to keep it more broad or, use photosynthesis if you want as well. But we will be looking at, so for my example, to teacher readiness, I want to help teachers, I'm going to give like a worksheet. So I'll give a whole, a one-pager with specific examples of how they can create photosynthesis Bananagrams. So it'll have maybe the vocabulary and an example of using in the classroom different prompts they might be able to address. So that's kind of just an example that I would like introduce. And so thinking through if you want to create, bring in Bananagrams into a classroom, what are some things that you might want to do to be able to help teachers feel more confident bringing it in? So I'll give you some time to kind of brainstorm just, in pairs or on your own of just different examples that you might do to be able to help teachers. And if anybody has any questions, let me know. And so,
Nothing's worse than getting a game like this and it's like 15 people. I mean, that's going to be 2 hours, but like 2 hours doing it, and then my time is no teacher has time. Nobody has time.
some of the sources that I would say interaction to gaming credits to this
Okay, thanks everyone. We're going to wrap that up. So, does anybody have anything they want to share of how you might help teachers be more confident bringing your game into the classroom, or how you've maybe adapted the rules of the game to fit maybe their curriculum or examples? Anything anybody wants to share? Yeah.
Show research, like science-backed research on how some game mechanics are effective. Because some instructors, they might see like, oh, this is a game, it's fun, I guess. But how is this effective? And they want that research.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, we found that so often in our research that so many teachers just they're like, is this effective? Is this going to be an effective learning tool? So I think adding some sort of more research of why that is more effective. Anybody else have any thoughts? Yeah.
Video tutorials have been helpful for me, particularly on how to. Sorry. I found video tutorials to be effective both on how to play the game and how it connects with education. Many teachers don't want to try the game, just straight up. They're like, oh my God, it's a game, like touch it with a 10-foot pole. I don't know what to do. Like, I need to learn about games before I can try this game. If they can just be like 5 minutes, sit down, I kind of understand what's going on. And these are the learning outcomes. It tends to be easier for them to absorb and adopt.
Yeah, that's great. I know, and we did a classroom observation where the teacher was playing games in the classroom, and they sent a video of how to play that game to the students in advance. Not that any of them watched it, but and then in the beginning they played the 2-minute here's how you play this game little video for the students, but it also takes up so much time. So I think having the teacher just even see a video real quick would be helpful. Any other thoughts? Yeah.
One of the biggest. Oh, thank you. Sorry.
Oh yeah, thanks.
I have a loud voice, so I just assumed. In terms of barriers to access, I think setup and just the IT portion of it in a lot of our testing was one of the biggest barriers. Getting games whitelisted if they were browser-based platforms is a huge one. So I think in addition to the videos on like how gameplay works, a startup guide, and then I'm thinking NGSS because that's where my brain lives, but like tying it to standards without like paragraphs and paragraphs, like the quick start is probably.
That's a great idea. Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Any other thoughts? Want to try another card? All right. Fast-paced expectations. So, and I also just make sure it's, so we're not necessarily playing the game, we can go through all this. But fast-paced expectations, so what we found, as you can imagine, students are used to very entertaining, very exciting games outside of the classroom. And a lot of teachers said that games are either really fun and interactive, but then they lose the learning value. Or they have the learning value and then they're kind of boring. So your challenge here is to kind of think through different ways that you might be able to adapt your game to keep that energy alive, but also making it sure it ties to that learning objective. So how I might adapt bananagrams for my photosynthesis game is maybe I have some like concept cards of different topics or areas that you can introduce, and there's some wild cards. So they start with the card, and then they have a fast-paced 1-minute little round where they can do as many words matching to that as possible. But then with those wild cards, maybe they have to swap with their tiles with another player or skip their turn, or there's other little elements of surprise that you can build into the game. So thinking through what are some other ways you might be able to kind of remix or adapt bananagrams to make it a little bit more lively while keeping the educational value. We'll give you a couple minutes to chat as a group. Oh, and also just a reminder, feel free to read our consideration prompts if you get stuck. They might help you come up with more ideas.
You challenge me to use logic to solve
Maybe just use as like a game for the subject. And like inside your class, just like exactly.
All right. I hope you guys came up with some other ideas. Anybody want to share with the group how you might have added a little bit more energy into bananagrams? Yeah.
Sure. We didn't have bananagrams in front of us, so we just used
Perfect.
Gemini to create like some pieces so we could use.
I
But then we said, what if we had a situation like Dungeons and Dragons? So we opened up the GPT and had a dungeon master out a situation, but whoever created the first physics word using bananagram words would then challenge the opponent to get through the Dungeons and Dragons scenario using a physics concept.
That's amazing. Any other ideas? Yeah, go ahead.
I suggested to just don't call it a game because that sets expectation. The students have the expectation that like either, oh yeah, this is gonna be fun, or not another learning game that is actually just a lesson. So
Exactly.
just make it and like design it as a game, but you can just call it activity or something more neutral.
I love that. That's amazing. Yeah, because they go in with those expectations. I think that's great. Any other last minute shares? All right, and then actually this table teed me up perfectly for this next one. Social sensitivity. So I personally actually hate bananagrams. I'm terrible at spelling, and anything fast paced, it just stresses me out. And so I feel this one, but a lot of times students, they might hold back if they are, especially English isn't their first language. They're learning about photosynthesis. This is super scary, and all of a sudden now you're expected to try and spell these new concepts in front of your peers. Could be super embarrassing. So one of the things I was thinking for my photosynthesis game is maybe I'm already going to provide the teachers with that kind of one pager of how to play it in their class. Maybe I do 3 adaptations. So there's one that is where group collaboration, they're not competing with each other, they're all playing together. Maybe I introduce another one that it has that more competitive element to it, and it's more 2-on-2 people. And then another version where it's more individual. So I create a little version that is just people can play, have a workbook, and they can play on a version. They each get a set of tiles and can kind of come up with their own words on their own time. So thinking of different ways to maybe adapt the game. So I'm going to give you guys kind of some time to think about this one, and then feel free to use our considerations of how you might adapt your game to fit this need.
This is the 44. Yeah.
Or like one letter at a time.
Thirty minutes. 30 minutes. 30 seconds.
All right, we're gonna get the group back together. So, what ideas do you guys have to help the people like me that would be very nervous trying to play this game in a classroom? Any ideas of how you might have adapted that you want to share? Yeah.
Rewarding different styles of play.
Ooh.
Rewarding different styles of play. So some people might be really competitive. Some people might want to add words to like the greater pool. Some are faster than others, but just rewarding the different ways people play.
I love that. That's great. Yeah, go ahead.
So we kind of riffed off the photosynthesis game and thought, a lot of those words are really hard to spell. If the outcome isn't about spelling them correctly, but just about getting close, like, could you make it more fun, maybe a little bit silly, by just having to spell as close to the word as you can? You could be missing vowels. You could still be able to say, like, this is the word I meant, or the term, and have that still count.
That's amazing. I would play that game. I saw this hand again.
Yeah, so an idea I had was like trying to something to make all the players vulnerable so that like nobody feels like they're going to necessarily be judged. For example, like there's that game where like you have a headband and you have like some sort of word on it and people have to like help you guess it. So like I think taking that and somehow like integrating like the bananagrams tiles into it could be a good idea, because then everyone feels kind of silly and vulnerable and they'll feel like less like they'll be judged because everyone is vulnerable.
That's amazing. That's a great idea. Make it light. Oh, I see a hand over here.
So I was just thinking, like, if this was bananagrams, but like in a game, getting to like, you don't want people to feel high pressure. You don't want them to feel like something's going wrong. Like, you can maybe give hints, or allow them to buy hints, sort of like Professor Layton style. So just having ways to gently nudge people back on course if it really seems like they're not getting there, without having, so they don't have to experience that public embarrassment, and they can still get to the next level.
Yeah, I love that. I love the idea of buying hints, so adding other little game elements into it. All right, any last minute ones? Oh, yeah.
I think another one is to like allow people to like use the imagination to like try and make up like pretend words, yeah, and yep, to see if it's like a close match as possible.
Yeah, no, you have pretend words, and then maybe it's more about the concept then, kind of similar to what you're saying. It's not necessarily about the spelling or that, but maybe it's just you're the concept of it, and using this as kind of more of just a physical activity. Cool. All right, so that kind of wraps up our activity, and just we have the cards on the table. We'll make sure you guys get some cards as well, and just you can feel free to read through them and kind of get some ideas. And but next we'll share our web page. We'll share our website, and so you can get more information.
Yeah. All right. So this is our website. So we designed the website as a one-stop shop for everyone who wants to explore our card deck. So sorry for the sixth table who doesn't have a card deck. So yeah. So on the website, you can browse the card deck digitally and then download the card deck PDF version. And then the most important thing is that you can leave your feedback on card content, so that keep us evolving our card contents consistently. So you can access our website by scanning this QR code on the screen. And then if you scroll to the bottom of the site, and you will find a feedback form. It's a Google form. So we are really excited to hear hear your thoughts or suggestions, any ideas on our card deck or even content. So please leave some comments on it. And then that's all. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.